The billionaire's controversial choice. My assistant deserves this. Hook. You're out of your mind, Victoria, Eleanor exclaimed, her eyes blazing with fury. The hospital room was tense, almost suffocating. Thomas, seated in a corner with his arms crossed, let out a sarcastic laugh. It's my decision, and I don't need your approval, Alexander replied from the hospital bed, his tone calm but firm. His face showed the exhaustion of days in the hospital, but his gaze didn't waver. Your assistant? That woman? Victoria continued, raising her voice. She turned to Thomas, seeking support. What will people think? That you have no family to represent you? Mom's right, Thomas interrupted. It's ridiculous. I'm your son. If anyone should go accept the award, it's me. Alexander sighed, but didn't lose his composure. He looked at his son, then at his ex-wife, and finally spoke with that serenity that made no one dare to directly contradict him. The award isn't about who has my last name or who can boast best on a stage. It's about what my company truly means, about the people who have worked hard to get it here. Amelia deserves that place, Victoria scoffed, stepping towards the bed as if to physically force him. That woman is your assistant. She serves coffee. She organizes your papers. She doesn't belong in a place like that. She's not good enough. It's a joke, Alexander. And are you good enough? He shot back suddenly, with a harshness that silenced Victoria. Thomas's eyes widened in surprise, but he said nothing. The room door suddenly opened, and Amelia appeared with a folder in her hand. She stopped when she saw the tense faces in the room. Sorry, I didn't know I was interrupting, she said softly, hesitating whether to enter or not. Amelia, come in, Alexander said, ignoring the discomfort of the other two. She entered cautiously, placing the folder on a table next to the bed. I just brought the documents you asked for, Mr. Vance. I don't want to bother. You're not bothering, Alexander said, while Victoria and Thomas exchanged glances filled with disdain. Then he looked directly at Amelia. I need you to do something for me. Of course, whatever you need, she replied, not raising her voice much. I want you to go pick up my award at Saturday's gala, he said bluntly. The silence in the room was immediate. Amelia looked at him as if she had misheard. Pardon? She asked, feeling the heat rise to her face. I'm serious. I want you to represent the company in my place, Alexander repeated calmly. Amelia turned her head towards Victoria and Thomas, who looked at her as if she had invaded a space she had no right to belong to. She felt out of place, as always, but this time it was different. This was too much. Mr. Vance, I don't think it's for the best. I don't have experience with those types of events. Surely your son, or someone closer to you, could do better. No, Alexander replied flatly. You've been by my side through thick and thin. You've worked harder than many who sit in those offices. I want it to be you. It's absurd, Victoria interrupted, almost shouting. Alexander, stop talking nonsense. But Alexander was no longer listening to her. He looked at Amelia, waiting for her answer. I don't know if I can do it, she finally said, her voice trembling. I trust you, Alexander said without hesitation. Then he added something that left everyone silent. No one else in this room has earned my trust. The blow was clear. Victoria pressed her lips together and grabbed her purse, leaving the room without saying another word. Thomas followed her, throwing a look of disdain at Amelia before slamming the door shut. Amelia stood still, motionless. She looked at Alexander, who remained calm, as if he hadn't just unleashed a hurricane. Why me? She finally asked, feeling the need to understand. Because I know who you are, Amelia. Because no one else deserves this recognition more than you, Alexander said, with a sincerity she couldn't ignore. She nodded, though she wasn't sure she could do it. Her world was about to change, and she didn't know if she was ready to face what was coming. If you were Amelia, Would you have the courage to accept Alexander's offer, despite the family's disapproval? Cast your vote in the comments. The doubts of a hero. The resolve of a friend. Amelia walked down the hospital corridor, her hands trembling, clutching the folder she had left with Alexander minutes earlier. Her mind was filled with doubts, and her steps felt heavy, as if each stride brought her closer to a decision she wasn't sure she could make. Upon reaching the parking lot, she took out her cell phone and dialed Olivia's number, her cousin. She needed to talk to someone she trusted. When Olivia answered, her cheerful voice quickly sensed Amelia's concern. "What's wrong, Amy? You sound off," Olivia asked, lowering her tone. Mr. Vance asked me for something I don't know if I can do," Amelia replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "Did he fire you? Did he do something wrong? Tell me." Olivia had already activated her protective tone, always ready to defend her. "No, it's not that," Amelia interrupted her. "He asked me to go pick up an award in his place, an important gala, with important people." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line before Olivia burst out laughing. "That's all? Oh, Amelia, I thought it was something serious. Of course you can do it, if he asked you. It's because he trusts you. But I don't belong in that world, Olivia," Amelia said, letting out a heavy sigh. "I don't know how to talk to those people. I don't have clothes for something like that. Can you imagine the fool I'm going to make of myself?" "Don't say that," Olivia replied, her tone now more serious. "Who says you don't belong? You're intelligent, hard-working. You deserve it more than those rich snobs who probably don't even know how to earn a living. Besides, the clothes thing has a solution. I'll take care of it." "Olivia, it's not that easy." "No, Amelia, listen closely," Olivia interrupted firmly. "You have to stop thinking you're not enough. This is your moment. If Alexander trusts you, it's for a reason. Don't disappoint him or yourself." Her cousin's words stuck in her mind as she hung up the phone. Amelia knew Olivia was right, but the doubts lingered, fluttering like a swarm of bees. Still, something in her stirred. A small spark that told her that maybe, just maybe, she could do it. That night, Amelia sat at her small kitchen table, with her daughter Lily playing with crayons beside her. The girl's laughter filled the space, but Amelia couldn't help but get lost in her thoughts. She looked at her cell phone, waiting for a message or a call that would cancel everything and free her from that responsibility. But the phone remained silent. "Mommy?" Lily suddenly said, grabbing her attention. "Yes, my love. Why are you so serious? Are you sad?" Amelia smiled, though her heart was still restless. She gently touched her daughter's cheek. "No, Lily, I'm just thinking." "About what?" Amelia hesitated for a moment before answering. "About something that scares me a little, but that I think I have to do." Lily tilted her head, confused. "Like when I was scared to jump from the big slide and you told me I was brave?" Amelia let out a soft laugh, surprised by the clarity of her daughter's words. Sometimes, children knew exactly what to say without even trying. "Yes, something like that, my love." "Then do it, Mommy. You're brave." Lily's words, so simple and pure, filled Amelia's chest with a warmth she hadn't felt all day. For the first time, she thought that maybe she was right. Maybe she was brave. The next day, Amelia arrived at work early. She felt a little more confident, though the weight of responsibility still accompanied her. As she organized documents on her desk, Alexander called her to his office. Upon entering, she found him looking more relaxed than last time, though tiredness still showed in his eyes. "Did you think about what I asked you?" he asked, getting straight to the point. Amelia nodded, still not meeting his eyes. "Yes, Mr. Vance, I accept. I'll go to the gala." Alexander smiled, not with mockery or satisfaction, but with a warmth that made Amelia feel calmer. "I knew you would. You have more strength than you think, Amelia. I'm sure you'll do a great job." She nodded again, not knowing what to say. She only hoped his words were true. "Do you need anything to prepare?" Alexander asked. "My cousin will help me with that," she replied with slight nervousness. "Good. Anything you need, let me know." Amelia left the office feeling a little lighter. She had made the decision. Now, there was no turning back. With every step she took, she felt something inside her begin to change, as if that spark Olivia had ignited was starting to grow. What she didn't know was that her decision, that simple yes, was about to change not only her life, but also the lives of everyone around her. A night of triumph and new respect. The grand ballroom glittered with golden lights, and laughter and conversations filled the air. Guests, dressed in suits and gowns that screamed wealth, strolled with champagne glasses in hand. Amelia stood at the entrance, motionless. She felt eyes on her, as if every pair of eyes in the room was assessing her presence. Olivia, by her side, gently squeezed her arm. "Relax, Amy. You look gorgeous. No one can say anything to you." Amelia took a deep breath. The black dress Olivia had sewn was simple yet elegant, with a cut that highlighted her figure without being ostentatious. Her hair, pulled back in a bun, gave her a sophisticated air she didn't recognize as her own. However, she couldn't help but feel out of place. Victoria's words kept replaying in her head. "You don't belong in this world. I feel like an intruder," Amelia murmured, looking at Olivia nervously. "Well, they'd better get used to it, because you're here and you're not going anywhere," Olivia replied with a confident smile. Amelia took a step forward, her heels echoing on the marble floor. Each step brought her closer to the stage, where she would soon have to accept the award on Alexander's behalf. As she walked, some heads turned towards her, and she heard whispers. "Who is that?" "Alexander's new girlfriend." "No way. Isn't that his assistant?" The low laughs and disdainful comments were like knives piercing her confidence. Amelia swallowed and held her head high, remembering Alexander's words. "You have more strength than you think." But when she got close to a group of Alexander's acquaintances, the laughter was no longer discreet. "Look who's here!" exclaimed a middle-aged man with a mocking smile. "What's up, miss? I didn't know serving coffee now includes accepting awards." The group burst into laughter. Amelia felt her cheeks flush with shame, but before she could respond, Olivia stepped forward. "What happened is that it would be too much work for you, wouldn't it?" Olivia said with a sharp smile, looking directly at the man who had spoken. "Lucky there are people like Amelia to do what you can't." The man fell silent for a moment, surprised by the response, but Amelia didn't stay to see more. She needed to get away. She walked towards a corner of the ballroom, where the lights were dimmer. Olivia followed, concerned. "Don't mind them, Amy. Those idiots aren't worth it." "It's easy to say, Olivia," Amelia replied, her voice trembling slightly. "I feel like everyone's waiting for me to make a mistake." "Well then, don't give them the satisfaction. Show them they're wrong." Amelia closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She knew Olivia was right. She couldn't let those people's opinions make her back down. She was here for a reason, and wasn't going to let others' prejudices stop her. The moment arrived. The event host, an older man with a deep voice, went on stage and took the microphone. "And now, it is my honor to announce this year's Entrepreneurship Award winner, Alexander Vance. Due to personal reasons, Mr. Vance cannot join us tonight, but he will be represented by someone very special. Let's give a warm welcome to Amelia Davies." Amelia's name echoed through the ballroom, followed by an uncomfortable silence. She could feel everyone's eyes on her as she walked towards the stage. Her heart pounded, and her legs trembled. But she kept going. As she stepped onto the stage, she took the microphone with trembling hands, looked at the audience, all those faces that seemed to judge her, and for a moment she felt she couldn't speak. But then she remembered Lily, Olivia, Alexander. She thought of everything she had gone through to get here, straightened her shoulders, and spoke. "Good evening," she said, her voice clear and firm. "My name is Amelia Davies, and tonight I have the honor of representing Mr. Alexander Vance." The silence remained, but she continued. "This award is not just for him or for me, but for all the people who work hard behind the scenes, for the people who are not always seen, but who are the foundation of any success." The room remained silent. Some people looked at her with surprise, others with curiosity. Amelia took a deep breath and finished. "Alexander taught me that true success is not measured by money or status, but by the way we treat those around us. That's why I'm here today, to remind us that everyone, no matter where we come from, can achieve great things." "Thank you." For a moment there was no reaction. Then, someone began to applaud. Afterwards, more people joined. Amelia couldn't believe it. The laughter and whispers that had tormented her at the beginning of the night had disappeared, replaced by something that seemed like respect. As she walked off the stage, some of Alexander's familiar faces looked surprised, even embarrassed. Others seemed genuinely impressed. For the first time all night, Amelia felt she belonged there, the shadow of resentment. Amelia walked off the stage with trembling legs, though something inside her, something she barely recognized, felt strong. The ovation she had received still echoed in her ears, but she didn't have time to process it. As soon as she reached the ballroom floor, some attendees began to approach, their faces showing a mixture of curiosity and respect. "Miss Davies," an elegant woman said, extending her hand. "Your speech was impressive. Honestly, I thought no one could represent Alexander in such an authentic way." Amelia shook her hand, not knowing what to say. She barely had time to thank her when another man approached, followed by two more. In a matter of minutes, she was surrounded by people who wanted to meet her, ask questions, or simply congratulate her. Amelia's disbelief grew with every kind word. Were these the same people who, minutes earlier, had laughed behind her back? In the distance, Olivia watched the scene with a triumphant smile. However, not everyone was impressed. In a corner, Thomas looked at her with tight lips and crossed arms, his face a mixture of jealousy and discomfort. Beside him, Victoria sipped from a wine glass, her sharp gaze fixed on Amelia. "Do you realize what she's doing?" Victoria murmured, not taking her eyes off the scene. "She's using this to manipulate your father. She's probably planning to gain his trust and, who knows, keep something more." Thomas scoffed but didn't reply. Although he wanted to discredit Amelia, something inside him told him that perhaps it wasn't as simple as his mother made it out to be. Still, he couldn't ignore the fact that his father had chosen Amelia, an assistant, over him. Later that night, as the gala was about to end, Amelia stood in the lobby, waiting for Olivia to arrive with her belongings. She had managed to evade most of the people who wanted to talk to her, but her mind was exhausted. All she wanted was to get home, hug Lily, and forget for a moment the surreal nature of the night. However, she wasn't alone for long. Thomas suddenly appeared, blocking her path with a sarcastic smile. "Feeling proud?" he asked, crossing his arms. His tone was acidic, and his eyes reflected a mixture of disdain and something else Amelia couldn't identify. She looked at him, confused. "I don't know what you mean." "Of course you do," Thomas continued, taking a step closer. "This whole show, this whole speech, well played. You managed to fool everyone, even my father." Amelia felt rage begin to build inside her, but she forced herself to remain calm. "I didn't fool anyone. I just did what Alexander asked me to." Thomas let out a short, bitter laugh. "Do you really think this is normal? That my dad chose you, an assistant, instead of his own son? It's ridiculous." "You know what's ridiculous?" Amelia responded, her voice firm for the first time. "That you think this is a competition. I didn't ask to be here. I didn't ask for this award. But I did earn your father's trust. Something you—" "Oh, clearly, Kanatsa." Amelia's comment froze him for a moment. But before he could respond, Olivia arrived with a coat in her hands. "Everything okay here?" Olivia asked, looking at Thomas as if she was ready to confront him if necessary. Amelia nodded, stepping away from Thomas. "Everything's fine. Let's go." As they walked towards the exit, Thomas remained in the same spot, watching them with a mixture of frustration and something he didn't want to admit: respect. When Amelia arrived home, little Lily was asleep on the sofa, wrapped in a blanket. Amelia approached and caressed her hair, her heart finally finding a moment of calm. Olivia, who had been by her side the whole way, smiled at the sight. "See, you did it. And not only that, Amy, you shut all those creeps up." Amelia didn't reply immediately. She sat on the sofa next to her daughter, hugging her carefully. "I don't know if this changed anything, Liv," she finally said. "I feel like I'm just starting, and there's still a lot to prove." "You already changed everything, even if you don't see it," Olivia replied, leaning on the doorframe. "And now that they know, there's no turning back." Amelia nodded, not entirely convinced. But something inside her, that spark she had felt before, was now stronger. Maybe Olivia was right. Maybe she could keep going, and this time with her head held high. What she didn't know was that that night, while she found a moment of peace at home, others were preparing their next move against her. The hidden truth and a guilt-ridden past, the first rays of dawn filtered through the windows of the small shop where Amelia worked tirelessly. The space, once empty and dusty, was now a reflection of her dreams. Freshly painted shelves, immaculate display cases, and the aroma of flour and yeast beginning to fill the air. Although the place was not yet ready to open, every detail reminded her how far she had come. Alexander arrived early that morning, dressed casually with a cup of coffee in hand. As he entered, Amelia looked up from a list of suppliers and smiled. It was a tired smile, but full of satisfaction. "This is taking shape," he said, looking around with approval. "Yes, but there's still a lot to do," Amelia replied, writing something down quickly. "The coffee machine isn't working yet, and the bakery shelves need adjusting, but I think we're close." "You're doing incredible, Amelia. Don't pressure yourself so much," Alexander said, approaching to review the list. Amelia let out a sigh, putting the pen on the table. "It's hard not to. This place means everything to me. I can't afford to fail." "You won't," he replied confidently. "And if you need anything else, whatever it is, I'm here to help you." Amelia felt grateful. Although she knew Alexander had done a lot for her, she still felt it was her responsibility to prove she could lead this project herself. The inauguration day arrived faster than Amelia had anticipated. Olivia, always ready to support, was at the shop early, helping her organize the last details. Lily ran excitedly around the place, placing small flowers on the tables, while Alexander discreetly supervised from a corner. Outside, a group of people began to form. Neighbors, former bakery customers, and some curious onlookers approached, drawn by the smell of freshly baked bread escaping through the open door. However, among them were also Thomas and Victoria, who had arrived unannounced. "Cozy, isn't it?" Victoria said upon entering, her tone laden with sarcasm. Amelia, who was organizing products at the counter, looked up and saw them. Although she felt a knot in her stomach, she decided to ignore them. She wasn't going to let them ruin this day. "What are you doing here?" Alexander asked, approaching with a stern tone. "It's an important occasion, isn't it?" Victoria replied with a faint smile. "We didn't want to miss the opportunity to see this project in person." Alexander crossed his arms, clearly annoyed, but before he could respond, Amelia intervened. "If you came to criticize, don't waste your time. I'm too busy to worry about that." Victoria raised an eyebrow, surprised by Amelia's firmness. Thomas, though less confrontational, seemed uncomfortable. "We're not here to cause trouble," Thomas finally said. "I just wanted to see what all this is about." Amelia looked at him for a moment before replying. "It's simple, Thomas. It's about hard work and giving people something they truly value. If that's not clear to you, you don't need to stay." Victoria opened her mouth to say something, but Alexander interrupted her. "I think it's best if you leave. This is an important day for Amelia, and I'm not going to let you ruin it." Victoria cast one last disdainful glance before turning and leaving. Thomas followed her, though before he left, he looked at Amelia with something that seemed like respect. Perhaps, just perhaps, he was beginning to understand that she was not the threat his mother had made him believe. The inauguration was a success. Customers entered one after another, trying breads, cakes, and pastries that Amelia had perfected over the years. The bakery was not only full of people, it was full of life. The bustle, the laughter, and the compliments from customers restored Amelia's confidence, which she had needed so much. At the end of the day, when the last customer left, Amelia sat at one of the tables, exhausted, but happy. Olivia poured her a coffee while Lily fell asleep in a corner. "You did it, Amy," Olivia said, sitting across from her. "You did it." Amelia smiled, looking around. Everything she had been through, all the obstacles, the doubts, the criticisms, everything had been worth it. "I didn't do it alone," she replied, looking at Alexander, who approached with an air of satisfaction. "But no one could have done it like you," he said, sitting next to them. Amelia nodded, allowing herself for the first time in a long time to feel proud of what she had achieved. As the bakery closed its doors for the first time, outside, in the darkness, Victoria sat in her car, watching the place with tight lips. Although she wouldn't admit it, something about Amelia's success deeply bothered her. "This isn't over," she said to herself, starting the engine. Inside the bakery, Amelia had no idea what awaited her. But that night, as she cleaned the last table, she decided that nothing and no one was going to take away what she had reclaimed. The weight of truth and a shared burden, the morning sun bathed the facade of the bakery, now a vibrant meeting point in the neighborhood. The shelves were filled with golden breads, freshly baked cookies, and carefully decorated pastries. Amelia, standing behind the counter, attended to a regular customer, an elderly woman who bought her oatmeal bread every week. "They're getting more delicious every time, dear," the woman said, smiling. "I'm so happy you're back." "Thank you, Mrs. Brown," Amelia replied as she wrapped the bread. "It's a pleasure to have you here every morning." When the woman left, Amelia took a moment to breathe. The bakery was full of life, not just because of the customers, but because of the conversations, the laughter, and the energy she had dreamed of recovering for so long. Olivia was in the kitchen, helping with a new batch of dough, while Lily, now taller and livelier, drew in a corner. Alexander, who had stopped by that morning for coffee, was sitting at a table reading a newspaper. Although he always insisted he came as just another customer, His proud gaze was unmistakable. Amelia approached him with a cup of coffee. "Feeling at home?" she asked with a smile. Alexander looked up and returned her smile. "It's hard not to when everything here reflects your dedication." They sat in silence for a moment, enjoying the tranquility. Although they knew there were still challenges ahead, both felt they had found something valuable, a shared purpose and a relationship built on trust and respect. Not everything was perfect. Victoria and Thomas remained on the sidelines, watching from afar, with plans and resentments that had not yet vanished. But Amelia had learned not to focus on the shadows. She had been through too much to allow those echoes of the past to stop her. That afternoon, when the bakery closed its doors, Amelia walked out front, with Lily in hand. She looked at the sign above the door, her bakery's name shining under the pink sunset sky. Davy's Delights. It was more than a name. It was a symbol of her struggle, her resilience, and her triumph. "Ready to go home?" Alexander asked, approaching them with his car keys in hand. Lily was excited, while Amelia smiled. "More than ready," she replied. As they walked together towards the car, Amelia felt that, for the first time in a long time, she was exactly where she was meant to be. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was real. And for Amelia, that was more than enough. What a remarkable journey for Amelia. This story highlights how strength, honesty, and a dash of kindness can truly change lives. If you were inspired by Amelia's unwavering spirit, please hit that like button and share this story with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more compelling dramas about real-life triumphs.